Hi, I'm Shannon Ethridge-Myers, million-copy best-selling author and speaker for the past 25 years. And for the past 10 years, I have been doing BLAST Mentorship Program, which stands for Building Leaders, Authors, Speakers, and Teachers. And just this past summer, I met one of the most intriguing new speakers that I could possibly imagine. This is Alicea Davis. And Alicea, I want to tell you that the first 5 minutes of our conversation at the Carol Kent Speak Up Conference, you had me. Like, I was totally engrossed in wanting to know more about who you are, what makes you tick, why you're so passionate about your message. I mean, you just enthralled me, and you had me in tears in the first 5 minutes. So tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what is your passion that you're wanting to do more writing and speaking about.
Well, I'm a poet and an author, and I have been writing for 16 years just to myself before I started sharing my poetry with the world. So this is still like amazing to me because, like I said, for 16 years since elementary school, I was just writing poetry for my own personal growth. So I'm very passionate about growth and progress and not letting your current circumstances determine the future.
In other words, all this has been simmering in you for a long time.
Yes.
And when things simmer, they develop the flavors better. And when you delivered today in the talk that you gave earlier, I don't think that there was a dry eye in the audience. So tell people about what inspires your poetry and your message. Tell people about the H on your shirt.
Oh, well, this H represents healing and harmony and hope and all the heavenly things that God has for us in this time. It's one of the symbols that I hope to be a symbol of racial reconciliation and unity. If you were to look at my book, you will see that it's actually the symbol at the end of my book. I probably did a spoiler, but...
No. You can give a spoiler alert.
Okay.
From Hatred to Healing, 8 racial reconciliation poems. Now, when you told me that you were a poet, I had no idea what to think about that. And then you unpacked a little bit of your magic, and that's what drew tears to my eyes, because for someone who grew up in the deep, deep South, and actually in a town, Greenville, Texas, that once had a sign over it that said, Greenville, Texas, blackest land, whitest people. There's been so much shame that I have carried in my generation of what the generations before me have done to create this racial divide. What are you doing to bridge that racial divide, or even erase that racial divide?
Well, one of the things that I want people to understand is they don't have to participate in the racial divide. We have a choice. We can step out of the racial divide and we can be on God's side. And I know that may seem hard when people have all of these feelings and emotions that they need to process, because that is what healing is. It's not just going from A to Z, but it's going through all of the necessary steps that when you get to the end, you are in a better place and you have more peace. So that's what I hope to do with my poetry, to give people an artistic example of what it's like to process these emotions in a healthy way, so that they can have more peace and wholeness.
And so how have people responded to some of your poems? What's been the reaction in some of the audiences that you've had the opportunity to speak to?
Wow. Well, I've had response. I've spoken at audiences that were predominantly Black, and I've spoken at audiences that were predominantly white. We have a racial divide, so I'm going to have to give you two different answers. Okay, so one time when I was at an event where there was a predominantly African American audience, I was sharing my poetry from the Hatred to Healing journey. And at the end of the journey, after we discussed slavery, we discussed Jim Crow and civil rights, we discussed just discrimination. And at the end, I asked, who in this room is with me when I say that I am above revenge? And everybody in the room raised their hand. So that was a big demonstration that people desire to step out of this racial divide.
And you were giving them a voice to say that, hey, I don't want to chime in with those who want to embrace hate instead of hope and healing.
Right, absolutely. And then another response, well, I like to say a spectrum that I've learned from one of my poems, Grateful, which was the one that you love so much.
And if y'all haven't seen this poem, you need to go find it on YouTube. Would that be the best way to find it? Or your website address is?
AliceaDavis.com.
And spell it for them.
That's ALICEA Davis, AliciaDavis.com.
Okay. And so the poem again is called Grateful. Continue.
So over the years since I've been sharing Grateful, I noticed there's been a spectrum of responses from white people. I don't use the word racial divide, but white people who have heard the poem. And the spectrum starts off, which was very heart-moving. Finally, someone who understands me. And then I've had a response of, I don't know what I would have done if I was alive during the civil rights, but your poem makes me think, what would I have done? Would I have stood up? And she said, it makes me think, what can I do now today?
Yeah.
And then another response on that spectrum was, I used to be ashamed to be white until I heard your poem. And my heart just went out for the pain and guilt that she's been carrying. And the other side of that spectrum of responses I've been getting is, I don't deserve the recognition in that poem, but I hope to earn it someday.
To emulate it.
Yes.
The spirit in that poem is very heartwarming and encouraging. So what do you hope that God will, if you could wave a magic wand over your ministry, the gifts and talents that God has entrusted to you, what would happen? What would you like to offer the world? What impact would you like to leave?
I would like the world to know that they don't have to procrastinate change. We can do the things that we say, oh, it won't happen in our lifetime. It can happen in our lifetime. We do not have to put this burden on the next generation. They're looking for us to prepare a world for them to thrive in. So I would like for the world to demonstrate, and America to use this opportunity to demonstrate that we have the power to make history, reverse the past, and have a brighter future together.
Yeah, I'm sure that other people have thought this, but when you were speaking today, I just wondered, has the spirit of Martin Luther King been reincarnated in this woman? Because you are just such an inspiring, energetic presence. Your presence and your countenance and your energy fills the room. I would strongly urge you that if you are in any position in any church to bring a speaker in for a special engagement, Alicea Davis is your speaker. People in your audience will not leave there with dry eyes. They will leave there moved. They will leave there encouraged. They will leave there challenged. And I believe that you are a voice that is truly going to impact generations to come. And I am so honored to get to sow seeds into your life through this mentorship program. Thank you for your trust in me as your mentor.
Thank you for having me. You're an answer to prayer.
Oh, thanks so much. God bless you guys. AliciaDavis.com. Take care.